Manny Ramirez has been suspended from Major League Baseball for 50 games for testing positive on a banned substance. So this is bad news for the Dodgers, bad news for Manny Ramirez. To give you a sense of how bad the news is for him, that means he's going to have to let go of his salary for about a third of the year. He's going to lose $8 million because of this. He has not disputed the results. He will not file an appeal. I think that's somewhat telling. And he says his excuse is this quote: "Recently, I saw a physician for a personal health issue. He gave me a medication, not a steroid, which he thought was okay to give me. Unfortunately, the medication was banned under our drug policy. Under the policy, that mistake is now my responsibility. I have been advised not to say anything more for now." Now, so far, that sounds pretty damning to me. Not buying it at all, right? But let's be fair to Manny. He did add this one part, which I think is a little bit more convincing. He said, "I do want to say one other thing. I've taken and passed about 15 drug tests over the past 5 seasons. I want to apologize to Dodgers owner Frank McCourt, Mrs. McCourt, Joe Torre, my teammates, the Dodger organization, to the Dodger fans, etc., etc." So, look, if he actually did pass 15 drug tests, that's something. That's some evidence in his favor, obviously. But in order to receive this punishment, he had to fail 2 drug tests. So he failed one earlier this year and then failed one again just now, and that's why he's been suspended for 50 games. And this is not kidding around. This is a very serious suspension. Now, we do have breaking news on why it might not have been a steroid and what else it might have been. A source close to Manny Ramirez apparently is telling him that this was not, quote, an agent, or telling the press, not an agent customarily used for performance enhancing. And I say, all right, well, that's a source close to Ramirez. Of course, that's what he's going to say. But the excuse is interesting. The source continues and says, the drug was prescribed to address Ramirez's erectile dysfunction. Uh-oh. Apparently, Manny not going to up to bat in other arenas as we would have imagined. And his swing apparently needed some work. He continues, the article continues, I should say, in explaining that he tested positive for gonadotropin, if I'm saying that correctly, and gonadotropin LH and HCG are banned under baseball policy. They are most commonly used by women as fertility drugs. Is somebody getting pregnant today? I don't think Manny is. But they can also be used to trigger testosterone production. Now, that's kind of interesting. The article continues, testosterone is depleted by steroid use, and low testosterone can cause erectile dysfunction. See, but that's interesting. Maybe he was taking this medicine because he'd been taking steroids before, and that's what caused his low testosterone and erectile dysfunction in the first place. It's also telling that it's a source close to Ramirez who's leaking this, because basically saying, look, it's kind of embarrassing, we don't want Manny to say it, but at least it's a plausible explanation as to what else he could have been taking that got him banned, to put down into people's head whether he's taking the steroids. But even under this explanation, it appears that he might have been taking steroids earlier. So none of it cuts very well for him. The reason I think it's such a big story, honestly, is because despite all of the steroid use we've seen in all of the top players in baseball, I was actually still surprised by this, which is a little absurd on my part. But I don't know, maybe it's because I like Manny and he's such a character, and he seems so fun-loving and casual that I didn't think about it that much. But the second part of why I think it's such a big story, other than the fact that it's needlessly surprising me, is that that's it, it's official. From now on, you have to assume every single top baseball player is on roids. They're all guilty until proven innocent. I mean, who's left, right? Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco back in the day, Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, Alex Rodriguez, Roger Clemens, Manny Ramirez, the list goes on and on. I have to assume that if they made it and they're successful and they're one of the better players, that they're on roids. And the reason we have to assume that is because baseball never checked for it before, conveniently. And now that they're checking, look, everybody's shocked. Turns out everybody's on steroids. So whether he's on steroids now or he was on earlier, obviously, it doesn't speak well for Ramirez, and the fact that he accepted that punishment so readily makes me think he don't want to talk about this anymore. Imagine if he's really innocent. Wouldn't he go ballistic? He's about to lose $8 million, let alone his reputation, let alone the fact that the Dodgers won't have Ramirez for 50 games, a third of the season. A little disastrous all around.